Welcome to the GameChanger 00100 show. I'm your host, GameChanger. All right. So, let me set this up right quick. It is early in the morning and look forward to talking to all of you about this. What's going on, Armstrong Consultants? What's going on, Fly Guy? All right. And Jeff Brown, salute on the block, salute. Okay, we're going to get into this. So, the reason why a lot of black men want a bad reputation, the reputation we got, the Nagaga reputation that we got, is really quite simple. It's because they want to force everybody into their own community. You see, the black community was born out of fear. We knew that since emancipation, we knew that we couldn't just migrate into mainstream society out of fear. Mainstream society wasn't going to accept us. If you look at them, if you whistle at them, it would be hostility. Society of the time went through painstaking measures to make sure that our society was separate from theirs. The main enforcement mechanism of that was the way mainstream society treated black people. We were forced to be together. We didn't necessarily have a choice in the matter. And I'm pretty sure if we did, many probably wouldn't have stayed in the circumstances that they were in. Not because they don't like their own people, but because that's maybe their people didn't like them. Nevertheless, they were forced together. They were in a huddled mass. So they stayed in the comfort of their own neighborhood. They stayed in the safety of their own neighborhood. However, what later came about was we discovered that other neighborhoods or other communities was safer than our own. So naturally, people would disperse. People would disperse from the black community. They don't want any part of something that victimizes themselves, that cannibalizes itself. So naturally, people would want to disperse. And because the mechanism of Jim Crow, the mechanism of lynching, the mechanism of fear isn't really in existence in abundance anymore, meaning that you are more likely to get shot in the hood than you are to get lynched in the suburbs. The black community had to think of a way to maintain and sustain itself. Somebody say, what date are you referencing? Well, let's just break it into two eras. Let's just say the emancipation era and then the pre-civil rights era. And then now. Let's just break it. Let's just focus on those three areas. So when I'm talking about now there isn't any laws that would allow segregation. So we could pretty much go within any community that we like. And the only thing that would keep us out of that community is just overt racism, which means that they would have to break the law in order to attempt to keep you out of that community. That is the only thing that will stop a person from leaving, that and their willingness to do so. Hit the like button. So the black community had to do something in order to maintain itself. Now, people don't realize this too often, but a community functions like a living thing. It works to protect itself. That's what the Crusades was all about. Whenever people have a community, a way of life, it works to sustain itself. People go through painstaking measures in order to do that. People fight for that. People will do anything to see that their way of life prevails. The black community wants to protect itself from everything but itself. It has become a self-destructive community, and it wants to bring in others in that path of self-destruction. Now, it's unfortunate, and I want to see it survive, but the only way it can do so is to change its self-destructive ways. I wouldn't recommend anybody become a part of a self-destructive community ever. That does not work in your best interest. And the Black community, unfortunately, what it has become is something that does not work in its own best interest. However, just like any community, it's going to work to protect itself, and it's going to work to sustain itself. And because it's not self-sustaining, it needs others to constantly come into it. So now that we live in this post-civil rights era, it wants to keep its people in it. So what does it do? It knows that the other societies would be welcoming to its members, provided that the members behave a certain way, provided that the members are part of a certain mold, so to speak. So they make it clear that we as Black people are not going to be a part of that mold. They make it clear that we are incompatible culturally. Therefore, do not let us in your community. That way, if somebody who don't fit this niggerish mold attempts to leave the community, they'll face hostilities because of prejudice that the community itself is perpetuating. They want that prejudice. They want you to be as different from the mainstream community as possible. They like that. They like if you go into a job interview and then the man turns you down. And then you come back to the community broken and begging them, or it, I should say. But without further ado, let me get into it. All right, fair use. Even though this is Bernard Riley's.
Out of it. You saying you in it, AC?
No, bro, come on, Black.
This dude is
Don't do that
every
to me,
nigga.
man. Like, don't play with me, man.
He's Mr. Every
Did you
nigga.
bring your sociology degree with you? Hold on, while you're in it, did you bring your sociology degree?
Fantastic. You know what's crazy that you're doing this? Remember that day me and you and Platt was having that conversation about the white girl that shot the dude in Florida, and I explained to y'all exactly why that happened. And me and you had a marvelous conversation. We broke that down like to the very last compound. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you wasn't. Did you feel my expertise in that was somehow, bro? You done see me at my crib on my video, on my camera. You done see my house.
I'm not denying any of that. But
Right, so bro, you know I'm not in the street like that. You know what I meant by that.
And listen to AC. That's what I'm. Hold on, AC. You making and missing my point at the same time, AC. Even though we're not even saying that, brother. I'm like Bernard, brother. I'm glad that you are where you are. We need more men like you. But we need more men like you to identify as men like you and not niggas in the street.
Bro, can I tell y'all something, real
brother?
shit, man?
You got to stop cutting me off, AC. I'm not
my
cutting
bad,
you
bro.
off,
My
man.
bad. Listen, I'm driving, man, so I can't really hear you. So I don't know if you stopped tonight.
Okay, well, now let me
hear.
Right, you cut me off. Listen to what I'm saying, AC. We need more men to get to your point and your level to be the leaders, bro. Like, bro. Real, like we OG status, and I gotta use street vernacular in this aspect. But this is really how if you make it to like 30, these young cats really do see you as on some double OG type shit. You 40 and 50, like that's why they calling you old niggas, because in their world, a lot of these cats that are in the street, that's jumped off the porch, steppers and all this shit, whatever, bro. But they don't expect to make it to 30. So when you make it to them, you like on some granddaddy type shit, even though you really not. But when you take yourself out of that where you are, brother, and you're successful, you're legit, you're an upstanding citizen and pillar of the community, brother. And you say, "Oh, I'm in the streets," or you say, "I'm in it." Now you take yourself back to their level, man, and it messes up what we need you to be doing. You're supposed to be not fucking identifying with the shit, but motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, denouncing the shit. So these dudes can have something to aspire to and get out of it, like you said you was at one point, right? Learn better, do better, and then become something that's going to help keep and prevent more of these young niggas from being these fucking terrorists. You know what I mean? These domestic terrorists in our own neighborhood. And Bernard, let me say, let me say my piece, bro, before, because I didn't even say what I had to say. Let me say this, and then you got it, just real quick. Hey, shout out to Judge Zilla, to the point, bro. But look, Migos is not on no drill type shit. Migos were never drill rappers. Migos were never we kill niggas and shoot niggas and all this stuff, la la la. Yeah, they talk about guns. Yeah, they talk about this and the other, whatever, la la la. But they not the, you know, I shoot party niggas, kill niggas every day. Yeah, so that's
great. They not the drill rappers.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, they're not drill rappers. So we can't do that now. We can't. And then Takeoff was a really laid back guy, bro. Takeoff was not out here. He's never had one beef. These dudes from the crib, bro. This is Georgia. So come on now. We gotta.
Thank you, brother.
Y'all may not know. Y'all may not. If you don't know, you don't know. And I understand that you may be ignorant to it. But they was not on some King Von, Lil Durk type of time, and they just going around. Nah. Not the niggas did have some shootouts. The niggas did have some shootouts back in, I think, well, I want to say
2015.
Yeah, 2015. They had some shootouts. But hey, that was self-defense, and you know, Offset went to jail for that. That wasn't even Offset's the wild one. So we can't.
The one of them said, but you got to make sure you give me a job somewhere where my ops not at, because I ain't worried about, I can't be at the job busting off and doing nonsense. I said, I got you. I'll get you in South Jersey with my brother. So I serve a purpose in my community. I serve a purpose, and I told one of them when I start my.
Okay. So right now he's telling about how he has this construction company. I have to fast forward it because I really don't care about what entertainer is having shootouts on the street. I truly don't. It shouldn't be a thing to where entertainers are living a real life of violence. And the reason why I didn't do any videos on the young brother that died, salute to him, is because I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. I don't follow that. I don't follow that kind of stuff. And I haven't for quite some time. So, you know, I can't really speak on him in that regard. And I know Fantastic does very well, apparently, but didn't really want to get into that. But so I fast forwarded a little bit. The person here was saying that he has a construction business and he, you know, helps to hire people. That's well and good. It's no shade or nothing against that. And he was saying that the last person he helped, you know, his ops or something like that. I don't know what that means, but, you know, apparently he couldn't work locally because it would tempt him to do bad things. Okay. Probably not something you want to say on the interview. Like, you're asking me for a job, but you're saying you can't control yourself around certain people. So hire me in a different city, because if you hire me in this one, I will revert to hooliganism. That would be well and good, but the company would probably want to hire somebody with more self-control. Okay, yeah, so the company would probably want to hire somebody without enemies at all. Just saying.
my channel back up, I'm going to bring him on, and he's going to be my co-host. He's 30 years old, and he came out of the same thing I came out. He just bought a house, just had a baby, and me and him going to kick it. But he think like y'all. He don't think like me because he's scared to think like this again. And I understand that. So I don't want you to think when I say I'm in the street that it's not with a purpose or I'm out here slinging, because I'm not. I'm here to be a representative of what can be. I'm here to be a shining example, because the same people who see me out here riding with these lawnmowers and this dump truck see me standing on the block 15 years ago doing bad, doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. I was a terror out here on these streets. A terror.
And listen, I respect that 100%.
Okay. This is someone who is still trying to hold the social status that comes with the streets. That really wasn't a necessary part of the conversation. I was a terror out here on the streets. You know, it's like, okay, you were a terror, and now you drive around with lawnmowers and stuff like that. But you don't want to focus on that. You want to focus on the status that the streets provided you, and you still want to live in some of that status. You know, it's somewhat, it's lightweight on that 4 touchdowns for Polk High type thinking. Like I was a terror at Polk High School. I was the terror. I scored 4 touchdowns for Polk High School. It's kind of like that with a Nagagarish thing. Okay, listen. Here's the problem with it. Here's the thing about the drug game. 15 years ago, it wasn't really a thing at that time. Okay, there hasn't been money in drugs for quite some time. Let's just throw it out there. Take the movie Training Day, for example, right? So during Training Day, you had and I'll never forget when they were driving in the neighborhood with the Bloods. It was Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, and some D-boy was riding his bike next to him, next to the car. Now, when did a bicycle, just like the movie Baby Boy, when did a bicycle become the vehicle of choice of the D-boy? Stop and think about that. Because prior to that, it was spinning rims, you know, the Mustang 5.0, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Prior to that, and like in Menace to Society days, and even in the Boys in the Hood days, it was always the spinning ribs, you know, cruising down the street in my 6'4". And then later, it became a bike. It became a over souped up bike. And that during that time, that's when the money drained out of being a D-boy, of standing on the corner. You standing on the corner, you would do it with the bike. This is your means of transportation, provided that you don't have a girl with a car that you every now and again contribute some rims to. The movie Baby Boy showed that it was better to sling dresses to women and men at a beauty salon. It was more lucrative to do that than to be a D-boy. So the economics of it changed. And this was the late 90s. Training Day, Baby Boy and stuff. This was the late 90s. The money of that, it became a dying industry at that time. So if 15 years ago, 2007, you were doing this for a different reason. You wasn't doing it for the money because there was no money. You was doing it to say that you're doing it. So you were doing it to say, I'm a terror on these streets. Yeah, I'm standing around selling D, riding my bike as a terror. And then I went to NYU as a terror. So there's a strong sense, and this isn't me thumping on AC, but I have to point this out. There's a strong desire of my brand, my image is very important to me. It's very important to me how the streets view me. So he has that feeling, and he wants to instill that in his fellow man. Hit the like button.
100%. You getting it together, being a businessman, hiring people. And for example, like fucking brother Xavier who come through here. He's a mechanic. On the busiest season, he got like 12 employees, and he's on, and they all black. And he don't care if you got a record or whatever. If you know your way around a toolbox and can wake up to an alarm clock and have your ass here at 7 a.m., you're hired. I respect that. I respect anybody who got a business hiring black folks that you're doing it. So no problem with that. It's just when we having some of these discussions, I mean, hey, if we point out some logical inconsistencies or something we disagree with it. But one thing that I ain't seen nobody doing, I won't even let nobody do, is take away from you what you actually do as a man. It's the arguments and all of that back and forth that, yeah, we do run into some disagreement there. But you're definitely doing a damn thing in real life. So shout out to you for that. But the Clue channel in the building is AC Capes for criminals, just like black. Okay, yeah. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Pablo Frescobar in the building. Well, he on the panel too, but he says, you said, okay, we kind of addressed that already, but I'll still go ahead and read it.
Yeah, we can go past that one.
He said, but he says, I'm in the streets because you wanted to associate it with stereotype. You said we are placing on the community. All right, cool. GC in the building says 608 watching, 20 donating. Bad math. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who support the stream. Y'all keep it rolling over here. But modern day problems in the building says good point, GC, in response to GC saying that. And Jackie Jack just sent a super sticker. Do appreciate each and every one of you. But go ahead, GC. You got the floor. You got the mic. And I think Hood Conservative just sent me some of some turning developments to the story here. But we'll get to that in a second. But all right, we'll get to that in a second. But go ahead, GC. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Okay, I appreciate you. So first things first, AC, you probably don't notice, but even though we could see your picture in StreamYard, we can't see it on the regular YouTube screen. It just comes up as a white circle. That's happened to me before. I think that when you reload your picture, it'll come up regular and you can see it on the screen too.
Yeah, that happened all the time. That's why I be doing it like this, because niggas be invisible either way. So that's but no, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
fix that if you can. I know you drop, but yeah, fix it if you can. But I'm used to that. But go ahead.
Okay, thanks. And fantastic. I wanted to address something that you said, and I know that you wasn't really going this way with it when you were asking about the KKK and why don't they bring that up, but you did touch on something very interesting. And this is something that I noticed from that particular subset of the Black community, and that is that. They don't really address the KKK or white supremacy or the overt white supremacists. And that's because they need them. They need them to exist in order to create some type of cohesion between the Black community. Black people come together because of fear of whiteness. They come together because they fear that if they ever break apart, then they will be picked apart by groups like the KKK, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in a very real way, the very militant, the very, the pro-Blacks out there, they need them. So they actually want the KKK and the skinheads, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to exist, because without them, then we would just merge into the greater society without fear of the greater society. You see where I'm going with that? Fantastic.
No, because that made no sense.
You see where I'm going with that? Fantastic.
Yeah.
It made no sense though.
Okay. So it makes perfect sense. What's going on is that he don't want to admit the sense in it. You see, the worst case scenario for someone like this is, and by someone like this, I'm saying someone who wants to sustain the community as it is. The worst case scenario with someone like this is that you lose all status and credibility for standing on the street corner 15 years ago. Like on some King of the Hill stuff. Like, you lose all credibility to say, I was a terror on these streets, if the Black community decided to recreate itself, to change what it was, to change its image, to change its goals, to change its direction. You lose a lot in that. But he's going to, and you know, what I was saying made too much sense. They don't want the Klan to go away because the Klan is pushing Black people away from their society and into this community. It's the Klan is working with them to force people who otherwise wouldn't want to be there into there. That's what it's doing to them, for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Makes perfect sense. You can't.
You have to have an opposition. You have to have opposition.
You guys are not pro-Black, so you don't even know what pro-Blacks believe in. You guys associate pro-Black.
Well, I mean, now this is weird because you guys are not pro-Black, so you don't know what pro-Blacks believe in. Like, you don't really have to be a Scientologist to understand what Scientologists believe in. You don't have to be a Mormon. You don't have to be a believer of Santa Claus to understand what people who believe in Santa Claus believe in. So this is weird. Well, okay.
Time out.
AC Johnsons. That's not pro-Blackness.
Time out. Hold on. Let me. I always like to clear this up. I'm pro-Black in the sense that I want to see Black people progress. Most of the people that wear the title pro-Black spend an inordinate amount of time, from what I hear them doing. If they're doing great work in the community, fine. I'm not going to take that away from them. But most of what I hear them doing is calling
people coons on it.
Okay, Omega Dread said something interesting. I want to touch on that. If the Klan goes, so does pro-Blacks. I wish I had the book with me, but it's the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. And he talked about the abolitionist movement. Now, the abolitionist movement consisted of free Blacks and whites, and of course the slaves, who, for obvious reasons, wanted to see slavery abolished. It was a social thing. It was something that someone can proudly be a part of. And it also, and this is really ironic. And he talks about it because he was an abolitionist. He talked about the sense of absence when it was gone. You see, from his point of view, and I believe him because he was there and I wasn't primarily, but I believe him. At the time, people didn't really see slavery ending. No one expected it to end at 1865. Even Lincoln was saying that if he could keep slavery and keep the country together, he would do so. But that wasn't really an option. He had to offer Black soldiers something in exchange for fighting in the war, and that's what he offered, blanket emancipation. So it was necessary in order to win the war. The war wasn't necessarily fought for the freedoms of that. They didn't see that coming. They didn't see the Civil War coming, and they didn't see emancipation as being a side effect of the Civil War. So a lot of people who created their social status, who says that, you know, I'm giving this to the world. I am an abolitionist. I am an abolitionist. I am an abolitionist. Well, now it's abolished. Oh, well, you know, I am a butter maker. I am a shoemaker. I am a blacksmith. You know, then you kind of like lose that particular identity. Now, they wanted it abolished, and it was, but in abolishing slavery, you also abolished the abolitionist movement. Now, in abolishing segregation, you now are abolishing certain aspects of the Black community that keeps it together. Now, he knows that, and he wants to keep it together so he can say, I was a terror on these streets, or I was this dude, or I'm that dude that gets you jobs. It's like, well, so does Indeed.com, so does like Dice.com, so does LinkedIn, that we all have access to. Like, it doesn't really hit as hard when you have access to the main society.
Calling people coons on the internet, complaining about white people, and trying to spray cologne over all the shit that's in the Black community. That's
black on black crime
All
is not a
can y'all
thing. Black
tell me
on
who
black
these
crime is a
people
myth.
are?
All this
Because y'all
shit.
say this all the time.
Okay, can I finish? Can I finish?
Go ahead, GC.
Okay, so I mean, AC, you say that I'm not pro-black, so I don't understand them. I'm not gay, but I know they suck dick. Okay, so
I don't know about that.
You don't know if they suck dick? Okay, that's more fool you. So anyway, fantastic. It's a fear tactic. Basically, just like, those who are deeply religious, they need the fear of the devil. They need the fear of hell in order to, keep people in that religion. They need the fear of the Klan, and they need the fear of tiki torch people. Somebody is making noise.
All right, can somebody tell me anytime I ever talked about the Klan up here or white people?
No, that's my point. Okay, so earlier in this same conversation, when this brother was saying to everyone, why don't you go to street dudes and tell them to change their ways? Fantastic said, why don't you go to the Klan and tell them to change their ways if you are pro-black? To which he says, I don't have anything against the Klan, something to that effect. That's where he was going with that. So then that's the reason why I came up. I'm like, oh, really? You don't have anything against the Klan? So that's why I came up to address that. But for him to say, I never said anything against the Klan, of course, you're not going to, because you need their existence. The Klan binds Black people together. Okay, think of it like this. We all seen the movie 300, which is a grossly inaccurate depiction of the Battle of Thermopylae, but let's go with that for a second, right? During that time period, the Greeks didn't really see themselves as Greeks. They seen themselves as separate city-states, like Athens, Thessalonians, Arcadians, and of course, Spartans. They seen themselves as separate, as something different from each one of them. But they came together as Greeks when the Persians attacked, meaning they needed the Persians to come in order for them to join together as one. The Klan has that effect on Black people. The smartest thing Persia could have did was stay away and let them harm themselves. Well, not Troy, but yeah, because Troy was Troy. That wasn't part of the Greeks, but yeah, I get where you're going with that. That's so the Klan is Persia. Yeah, you actually proved my point. You see, they're never going to challenge. Brother, if I may. They're never going to challenge that because they want to keep the existence. They need a bad guy, just like somebody said in the chat room. They need that boogeyman. So that's what I came up to say.
Well, yes, and most pro-blacks don't care, don't even talk about the Ku Klux Klan or
I know that's my point,
which is important. Just like you guys talk about Black misbehavior is important to y'all, we talk about racism because it's important to us, right? But we do both. We talk about the ills in the.
Now it's interesting that they talk about racism, but they don't talk about the Klan. They don't talk about overt white supremacist organizations. Remember, he just said, well, when did I talk about the Klan? We don't talk about the Klan. We talk about racism. You talk about racism, but you don't talk about the people whose history lynched people? Really, make that make sense. And that's because they talk about a different type of racism. The type of racism that no other race really experience, and including blacks. Let's be clear. African immigrants do not have the same problems that we have. African immigrants do not have the same problems that we have. Dark-skinned immigrants do not have the same problems that we have. And when I say that, I'm talking about dark-skinned Indians. They do not have the same problems that we have. Orientals do not have the same problems that we have. Mexicans, to a lesser extent, yeah, they do. but to a far lesser extent. They do not have the problems that we have. The problems that we have stems from our reputation of ignorance. And they want to perpetuate that reputation of ignorance in order for us to have these problems. And then we have to come running back to the Black community where some guy says, I used to be a terror in these streets. And you're like, oh my God. It's like, I can either deal with this or I could deal with that. They want to leave you with no choice.
Community. And some of us actually go out there and be proactive and try to fix it. And we also talk about racism. Why guys like you ignore.
You see that? We also go out there and try to fix them. That is something. Now, people like that, people who pride themselves on trying to fix the community, they never actually want the community to be fixed. They want to be recognized as the person fixing the community. Like he prides himself on getting brothers jobs, which is a good thing. But they don't really need you to get a job because you didn't need you, in the sense that you didn't get yourself a job. Or let's put it like this. From what you're describing, you didn't have to go to some OG in the hood to go. You went to NYU. You didn't go to an OG in the hood. You went to NYU. They could go to NYU as well. Just saying.
Ignore racism and then talk about.
Okay. Racism now isn't really racism because, as I say, it doesn't even pertain to those within our race. Africans do not have to put up with this crap because they monitor their ethnic reputation. Their ethnic reputation means something. Now, granted, we're getting the best of them, like they only allow you here if you're an engineer. Yeah, they have a lottery. And my ex, that's how she got here. Yeah, they have a lottery. However, it does seem like all the engineers and doctors and stuff win that lottery. That's not a coincidence.
Bitch, go make me a sandwich, right? Mm-hmm. See, so you don't contribute nothing to society, but bitch, go make me a sandwich.
Well, it's good that he watched my stuff. But when did this become a contest of who contributes most to society? That is the Black community as it stands. What you're doing is you're buying social status. You're buying street credibility. You're buying social status and street credibility from the Black community itself. It's very twisted. Very, very, very twisted. It's like, hey, you want to be recognized and championed as this. Well, in exchange for that, hit the like button. In exchange for that, in exchange for street credibility, what we offer you, what you must do is give me stuff. Give me jobs, give me time, give me energy. You must contribute. And what we give you in return is street credibility. Now, we need street credibility to mean something to Black people, or else you'll just be like a Robert Smith person who contributes silently and really don't want the street credibility. So they're selling street credibility to brothers like this.
Mm-hmm. Right? You're not pro-Black. You don't help Black people. All you do is come on YouTube and criticize them. We don't see no school for you. We don't see nothing that you do that helps Black people at all.
You got to have a whole school.
And you cheer on white people. And then you ignore racism. And then you say, well, all you guys ignore racism and say, oh, man.
Now, this is the guy that admittedly says he don't talk about the Klan, but we ignore racism. That's because there are greater problems in the Black community. You see, and it's not a matter of ignoring racism. It's a matter of understanding that racism is a lesser problem, that we are our own worst enemies. Racism exists, sure, but, you know, the only colorism I see is red and blue, Crip and blood. Clean up your own house before you try to clean up the neighborhood. Yeah, where's your school? I don't know what is it with these people in schools. Like, I truly don't. I do not know what is it with people in their schools, because you're offering something that exists already. You know, you're offering something like, yeah, I have a school, but really you're just saying that to and trust. Okay. Whenever Black people say that they have something, hold on. Whenever Black people say that they have something, it's always the crappiest thing that exists in that form. For example, white people, they have private schools. And the reason that they have these private schools is because it's far superior to public schools as far as resources. And really the main reason that they have private schools is because they don't want their kids to learn with niggas. And I'm not talking about Black people. I'm talking about people with a general nigga mentality. So white people have private schools, which is better than the public schools, education-wise and resource-wise. Black people have schools that are worse than the free schools that exist, just to say that they have it. Like, I have a school and it's something like out of a church basement, like they have a Sunday school or something like that. It's always something like, but they just do it. I'm telling you, it's selling back street credibility. They get these things just to say that they got it and they call it a school, when really it's just, like 4 walls and some used books. And what do they teach at these schools? And I'm using air quotes. What do they teach at these schools? Well, they teach pro-Blackness. Like, okay, so where's the math and science? Pro-Black. Where's the history? The history is, Yakub invented white people. Pro-Black. And then when they graduate this school and try to go to NYU, they're going to say, oh, yeah, for whatever reason, you don't seem to know history at all. And it's a lot of made up stuff going on, where you're talking about how Christopher Columbus was Black and all this crap, and that wasn't even a question on the SATs. So we're not going to accept you, but you can get a job from the OG in the hood that will keep you away from your ops. This is the community trying to force others in it.
Game changer.
Told me ignore racism because I got a nice house and a computer set up.
I know Game Changer not going to say this in response, but I'll say it. Game Changer, he does use his he don't got a fucking school or whatever you said he's supposed to have, but he do use his intelligence that he's done like some tutoring for the youth, you know, so he does stuff like that.
Well, did he show you? Did he show you? Did you see?
Did he show you? Do I have to? And does it matter? You see, I'm not doing it. Well, I'm not doing it anymore because summer is over and real school is in session. Me mentoring children in math and science to give them a leg up is not supposed to be a substitute for real school. That would be stupid. However, now that real school have started, I no longer have done that. But it doesn't matter because I'm not trying to get street credibility. Bernard mentioned this. I never mentioned that on my show about the mentor programs and stuff like that. Well, maybe I did, but it's not something that I wear on my sleeve because I'm trying to get, recognition in the hood. It's not about that. It's about genuinely wanting to see the people do better, not being seen wanting to see the people do better. And that's the first thing he tried to attack me on. Like, oh, you're not contributing. So what? So what if I don't contribute anything but the taxes I pay so people can have schools? So what if I don't?
See it for yourself. Did you see it?
Yeah, I stood over him and watched him tutor a child.
Okay, that's what's up. Then if you stood and seen it, that's what's up. I don't believe you, but that's what's up.
So yeah, it really don't matter. So my point.
I know.
No. My point is, and this is a prime example of that. Notice how he was saying that we talk about racism, but we don't address the Klan. Once again, they need racism to continue to exist so that they can have that to talk about and unite people under that particular banner. They need the dysfunction of the community and they need the fear of overt racism in order to unite the people. They understand that Black people were most united when they feared white people the most. They understand that. So they never actually want to end the problem. They want to perpetuate the problem so they can talk about the problem and unite under the problem. So it's do whatever you want with that information, fellas, but know that we notice that pattern of behavior.
You guys got to say things that make sense and be coherent. Like, you guys are just giving your opinions. Like,
that is not an opinion. And this is just his way of saying whenever something makes clear and perfect sense, his response is, you got to say something that makes sense. That don't make sense. It makes perfect sense. You appreciate the unifying aspect of racism. You and your people get together and talk about racism. If racism didn't exist, then you wouldn't have a mechanism or a reason to get together. You see, I like this red pill community that I'm a part of. However, if Black women became fit, feminine, and friendly tomorrow, I'd pack up my channel and go. I would. It wouldn't be a problem to address anymore. Now, though I like this space and the brothers I met in it and the sisters I met in it, I would understand that there's no need for it any longer. And that would be that. And I would enjoy the community that I helped to create at that point. They can't do that. Once segregation ended, they started just grinding and looking for each individual sense of racism that they can find. Each individual, piece of racism they could find. They needed that. Just so they could say, oh, you see, now come to me, my brethren, because I was a terror on these streets. What a Klan is a terror in the woods. So we should come to you and be terrorized? It's weird.
And then when you say that, give us examples of who these people are that need these things, these dynamics that you talk about, that need the KKK, and need talk about who these individuals are.
Right,
talk
right. Well, okay,
are.
I'll do that. Basically, the individual and the example is you.
Okay, well, tell me, you just don't like me, so you just say some fuck shit.
He was really about to tell you. He named the individual.
No, I'm not.
Hold on, bruh. He named the individual and was about to give the example when you cut him off.
Me, nigga. He named me.
I know he named you, and he was about to give an example of how you do it. So go ahead, GC.
Okay, so before I give the example, I want to say that this has nothing to do with me liking you or not. Really, I don't know you, and to be perfectly honest with you, some of the things you say I do like. So it's not really a matter of liking or disliking you in that regard. Now, when I use you as an example, you said that you talk about racism, but you don't address the overtly racist.
I address the overtly racist all the time, GC. If you knew me, you would know that. Anybody in this space.
Okay. He just said that he didn't address the Klan.
Can tell you that I do that on a regular.
Okay, so you talk about the Klan. So
yeah, I don't talk about the Klan. I address overt racism.
Okay. I'm not really overt racism. The overtly racist is what I was referring to.
The Klan ain't up here.
No, I get it. What I'm saying is not overt racism, but the overtly racist is what I'm talking about. That is not.
Oh, okay, I get you. Like racism out. I get you.
Yeah, the racist. Right. So, and the reason for that, I strongly suspect, is because you need instances like this. Like every time an egregious act of racism occurs, that's when Black people come together. You being an advocate of Black people coming together is going to, in a very twisted way, look forward to these acts of violence and cruelty.
All right, I do want to circle back to what was the main topic once upon a time. I don't know exactly what this is. I guess let me pull it up so y'all can't see it, but I can read it. It says, an armed man, their friend, partner, standing just fast away from Takeoff in Quavo moments before the fatal shots, is now a person of interest. The rapper,
it should have been in the rapper's death, but somebody Rap House TV. You can't trust their caption, Bernard. So you gotta
in the
nigga translate. Yeah, you gotta niggalate.
Okay.
Now, Bernard, real quick, if you back out of the tweet and then scroll down to the very next comment, it's going to show you a little bit of footage of the exact person. According to Rap House TV, this is Houston PD's person of interest.
Oh,
yeah. All right, hold on.
And I guess it's going to explain.
Bernard. So that right there, Quavo actually posted that on his Instagram story. So that them being in that car riding with that guy when he pretty much got to Houston or whatever, he's riding in the car, in the front seat with the driver, and the driver looked like he got like a 357 Magnum or some shit sitting on the seat. He throwing up the mob ties, some shit that's supposed to be related to the J Prince Houston shit or whatever, right? And that was like the second to last entry on Quavo's story before the shooting came out. And this would have been what it happened. What's today? Wednesday? Today's Wednesday. So this would have been like I guess Monday night going into Tuesday morning. So that footage that he's showing right now, that Hood Service was showing.
Yeah, J Prince son or something.
I don't know I forget who the driver is. I don't know the guy, I think.
I didn't even get a chance.
Yeah, what is this video?
This is basically they have somebody. Look, you see the title range of a guy actually.
Well, I'll edit it out. But all right, so let's see. Guy punched Quavo. Okay, that's definitely Quavo's back. They saying that's
right. Did we just?
So is that a gun sling?
Okay. All right.
Hold on, right quick. Let me fast forward it because I really
because like that, but like trying to say no, that wasn't it. Yeah, he was with J Prince's people. So when the girl, like everything that he's saying was saying it was a fratricide, you know, or people that was with him supposed to be taking care of him or whatever, and somehow
like he backing up, like it don't work. People over there move.
Yeah. I'm gonna send something in the back.
He backing up. He backing up while pulling out his gun, and then shot him and took a further, more difficult shot. Like, all right.
Yeah, I can see how it happened because he's backing up. Takeoff is coming forward towards Quavo. So yeah, he's backing up. Takeoff is going towards Quavo, and he's probably turned his head and his back and trying to run away at the same time while firing. Yeah, that it's the nigga shit.
All right, let's hold on, wait, I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna go to Gen Z. What's your name? I'm gonna get your name right. Black Gen Z Millennial. I'm gonna go to you real quick, but it looked like you put something in the back chat as well that I guess is related to this. So while I'm ready to pull that up, go ahead and set up what it is that you put in the back for us.
Yeah, so this is thank you for having me. This is a alleged person of interest. I don't want to like go hard and say, but this is an alleged person of interest. And I mean, as you can see through the IG, this individual, was very close to the Migos. The thing is, when the Migos or Few and Neff went into Houston, they quote unquote checked in with the Mob Ties guys, Jay Prince's guys, Jay Prince Jr., all that kind of stuff. And it didn't render them any results. I heard you guys discussing racism earlier, and I'm trying to figure out, how does racism tie into this scenario at all? See, on my channel, we cover situations just like this every single day from the Black community. The only difference is these individuals that I cover are regular people. They're not famous. And, besides their family.
Now, I appreciate this young brother. And here's why. We don't want to cover the day-to-day stuff, the day-to-day Black on Black crime, because then it will really bring into reality what we already know. And that is that our problems is internal and cultural. We don't want to admit that. We don't want to admit that in the Black community, the problem is the Black community. Now, every time something happens from the outside that affects it, we cover that. We march, we rally, we burp and we fart. Every time something outside happens, and if something happens to somebody famous, but that's because anything that's regarding somebody famous is going to get more traction. So that's separate. But you ever notice that? Like, shout out to Ryan Coogler, shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Fruitvale Station was one of the best movies ever, because it really, brought everything into light about a humanized Oscar Grant. They never really do that, and perhaps they should. They should do that with Pookie Ray Ray, or just anybody that gets shot. Or let's just say innocent bystander. Somebody who wasn't even a part of something or affiliated with something, but they get shot by a stray bullet. Just show the kid that that didn't get a 4.0, but he got good grades. He's preparing, he's filling out his college education, and he got in the middle of Pookie Ray Ray, or he wore the wrong color in the wrong neighborhood, and his life ended. Show the story of, what's his name? That guy that played Romeo on the Steve Harvey show. Just show his story. Show all these stories. I appreciate how they did that in the fictitious sense when they did it with Kane. When they did Kane from Menace to Society, a young brother trying to find his way in the world, how he grew up, His mother was addicted to heroin. His father was her heroin dealer. And his father was a murderer. He wound up with his grandparents, and he had a thing for a baby mama. And then he got shot by a Yana cousin. Show that. Because what happens is you show enough of that and people start looking. They don't look at the guy, oh, I was a terror on the street. They look at I was a terror on the street. They start looking at somebody who says stuff like that a lot different. You don't see the terror of the street as a good guy once you humanize the victims of said street.
Members, nobody really gives a fuck about them passing away. So, I mean, we have this type of activity going on every single day in the community, and it's not addressed. But when a famous person gets shot and killed, then everybody's having discussions and panels about.
See, the reason why it's not addressed is because they want to talk about murder without shaming the murderers when the murderer is Black. Black on Black crime puts people in a difficult position, because how do you sympathize with the murdered and at the same time champion the murderer? You can't. So they like to sweep it under the carpet and ignore it, all the while asking that others join in this community.
About it. But my thing is, we need to start highlighting the little people so the big people, you know, actually matter. Because at the end of the day, we're going to mourn about this on social media for a couple of days, and then it's going to go back to the same buffoonery.
Can somebody explain to me the check-in thing? I keep hearing this.
Yeah, so it's a process that all the famous people have to do, pretty much.
It's extortion. It's extortion.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's pretty much like, hey, especially, and it's really huge on the West Coast.
All the famous people, or just the
rappers,
artists,
mainly rappers. It's some of this mainly rappers. So yeah, you get rappers that have to go to these other cities and stuff, and you have to check in with the person that's there so that you pretty much are safe. Otherwise, you're gonna get robbed, you're gonna get targeted, all these other things, and you go to someone that's a big name like a J Prince, Mob Ties, or whoever. West Coast is usually like gang members, Crips, Bloods, whatever, so on and so forth, right? Certain individuals, and pretty much the word is put out there is like, hey, you cannot touch these individuals. So it's like it's paid extortion, pretty much.
Okay, I actually didn't know what check-in was until Fantastic just broke it down just now. And now that I know what it is, I think that what it is isn't. I think that what it appears to be isn't what it is. Hit the like button. I think that the people, because you could just hire security and stuff like that. You're not really paying for protection from a bunch of street dudes. You're not. I think that what it actually is you're paying for street credibility. You're paying street dudes to allow you to look more street. It seems like that's what the rappers are doing, if anything. You know, like, okay, I'm paying, therefore I can go to the hood and roll dice safely, and people will think I'm so hood because I pay. I don't think that Childish Gambino is paying for that, nor is he getting robbed for not paying. And that's because he don't really need street credibility. So yeah, you're actually just paying for hood status.
What it's not always money. It's not always money. A lot of times, or some of the times, it's like, hey, just come in and do something with the youth program or stuff like that. But for the rappers, though, for the most part, it's on some money type shit, or
listen to my tape, listen to my demo.
Well, no. It's not. No, not the rapper. The rapper don't need you to listen to their demo. They're already famous rappers. You come to
No,
like
but
so.
I'm saying the people involved.
No. You
He's
still
saying
missing
the
it.
extortionists.
Yeah, you're still missing it. Yeah, still. So like the J Prince Jr. dude, right? He had an event that whoever he was there, cool. But when he throw the private event or the after event to say the Migos are going to be there, now that brings more money to his thing. You know what I'm saying? And the big motherfuckers want to come there and throw money and be known and be seen, and they want to be able to say, "Hey, I was out with the Migos." You see what I'm saying? So it's a money generator for them.
All right.
So,
Black Gens, real quick. Oh, well, go ahead, GC.
No, I'm curious. How come the white rappers or the white entertainers don't have to check in? Like, how come the members of Coachella don't have to check in? With the,
Does Chad Harlow check in? Jack Harlow, I mean,
no,
Jack Harlow?
no, he doesn't.
No.
But this is a standard that has been created by the Black community in concordance with the street code. So all of this is like street code nonsense, where it's like you have a room full of people where Takeoff died. They've got person of interest or people of interest and whatnot, but nobody's snitching. That's part of the street code. Just like checking in is part of the street code. When you go into a foreign land, go into a state that you're not familiar with, city, whatever, you have to check in. And, you know, the Migos have facilitated, you know, along with, you know, Young Thug before he was locked up, because I'm in Atlanta, I'm in Buckhead. So, I mean, these individuals were facilitating check-ins into their cities as well. So like when people would come in, they would check they check in with the Migos or YSL, and then they would be quote unquote good in the hood. So they can go to any hood in Atlanta and all this kind of stuff and be fine. So it's the same thing. It's you know, street code bullshit, and it's extortion.
So excuse my ignorance. Can I ask a question? Another question? Because I'm ignorant. I'm not in the streets.
Go ahead.
Isn't it racist to charge check-in, to have check-in for Black artists, but you don't have check-in for, like you said, Jack Harlow? Wouldn't that be racist?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the problem is these rappers, they want to check in. There was a video of, and he's not a rapper, Steven Jackson, former NBA player. Yep. I mean, the man is in his late 40s, early 50s, and he, quote unquote, checked into O Block. And then his justification was, oh, I'm a 40-year-old man, I'm Muslim, but I got to check in with these people because, you know, I want to be safe. I want to get home. I want my family to be safe. And it's just, it makes no sense.
That doesn't make any damn sense. You have to get home. And this is the community they want you to be a part of. You don't have to check in. You want to check in. Just so that's your contribution to the hood. Just so you can say that you're a hood contributor.
A lot of these people, they just play into it. So you really don't necessarily have to check in. You just go. But the problem is a lot of these,
when they say they want to be
safe from being robbed, safe from the Jack Boys, safe from the killers, the niggas who will rob you at gunpoint.
Wait.
They want to be safe from everything they rap about? That's wild.
Wait. I'm with Pablo. So they want to be safe from the people who they're paying. Basically, they're paying so they won't rob.
Yeah, those the same ilk of people. Yes, those ilk of people. And hold on, brother, just real quick. I don't know how familiar you are with the space, brother, but we definitely do talk about the regular people here. We've been talking about stuff going on in Chicago and black on black crime. Black on black crime is a real thing here, bro.
Oh yeah.
So you make
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, we don't just talk about only celebrities, brother. We've been doing this for a little minute, and we've been bringing up the issue and problem with this. It just gets blown up.
Obviously talking about the celebrity trending issue is what brought 600 people in here, but we did morph it into a larger discussion about the problem in the black community. That's called being a content creator. That's called being a content creator.
Yeah,
so let me see. I'm trying to get this like I'm a 4-year-old. So is there a white gang that make white people check in?
No.
Okay. So bear with me. What happens if a black person was to rob a white entertainer? Do they say, well, you should have checked in? Like what happens?
Oh, they go to jail.
They go to jail. Yeah.
They know better. They know better not to do it because they know.
So it does appear as if you're a part of the white community. You don't have to pay that tax. meaning that it is a bad thing being a part of the Black community. Because once again, Childish Gambino, he don't have to pay that crap. So at the same time, they're reeling you. Okay. And I hate to say this. I truly, truly hate to say this because I'm old enough to see it in its heyday. At least what I believe to be its heyday, the 80s and early 90s. I'm old enough to have seen it in its heyday, and it was a beautiful community. The Black community has become like a Black nightclub. Hear me out, fellas. The Black community has become like a Black nightclub. What happens at a Black nightclub? Well, first thing is first, you get frisked. I used to think all clubs did it. I kid you not. When I first went to a non-Black club in my 20s, and I showed my ID and I lifted my arms up, and he looked at me strange. The bouncer looked at me like, what's this dude lifting his arms up for? And then I just walked in. I was like, oh, they don't frisk. And you don't always have to pay to get in. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. But in the Black clubs, you always have to pay an exorbitant amount to get in. The women don't have to pay. And they treat you like a criminal upon entry. And it's a bunch of fat chicks. Had to throw that in there. It is a shittier venue. Not only are the chicks in the non-Black clubs hotter, the Black women in the non-Black clubs are hotter. Same as the community. The Black women who are not a part of the Black community are hotter than the ones in it. You want to know what that means? It means that our most beautiful are saying we are too good for this community. You're paying more and you're getting less. That's the Black community. Just like at a Black nightclub. You pay more and you get less. Now they advertise it because they want you to keep paying for the crap. Not going to happen.
Like black people are afraid to target white people for one. That's one of the biggest elephants in the room. But again, black people, us as a whole, has made it okay to where, you know, if a black person kills another black person, that goes to the black on black crime element. It's just another nigga dead. You know, it's in the game. Yeah. You know, you use some type of street philosophy. You know, oh, it's in the game. Oh, you know, it is what it is. He caught that nigga slipping. He wiped his nose. All this type of shit, blah, 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 and no one cares because, you know, it's a nigga.
Oh, and by the way, you're far more likely to die in a black nightclub than in a non-black white nightclub. You seen that movie Belly? And in the intro scene, you know, Nas and DMX and the other dude, you know, they had the whole setup. And the club was counting its money. The black club was counting its money. And they just killed the bouncer because, you know, black lives don't matter to them. They just killed the bouncer. went into the room, shot up everybody, all these innocent people, all these people who just have a job, a night job, so they can feed their families. You just killed them and took the stuff so you can feed yours for a little bit of time. Like, yeah, I just killed 20 people and I shut down the club together completely. But you know, I'm able to cover the rent for 3 months. It's like, fuck all those people that died. I covered my rent for 3 months. And now there's one less black nightclub and the community is a lot less safer. But for whatever reason, I want people to still be a part of the community. I'm going to play this and then I'm going to show y'all something.
Killing a nigga.
All right, Black Gen Z Millennial. I don't think you necessarily. I'm gonna get to these super chats real quick. Thank you to everybody supporting the stream. I don't know if you sent me the right link because this is just
Yeah, I mean that's the guy who's alleged person of interest.
Oh, this is him.
Yeah, I mean if you click on the if you click on
I just needed to scroll down one and we'll see the same guy.
If you click on the pin video, it's like people sending them death threats in the comments. You know, I guess Migos fans and all that kind of stuff. Like they're in the comments and the death threats and all this kind of stuff. So
the first comment I read is, "I hope you can hide better than you can shoot."
Right. And
if it really was friendly fire, boy, they gonna be on his ass. You ain't got no love.
Hold on,
No, everybody saying that's what it was. Everybody saying that's what it was.
That's a just for fun picture. I thought he was actually in the military when I saw that from far away. I was like, oh shit, I know he ain't legit.
But
in
just
the military.
Yeah,
they playing dress up. My bad.
Right. Just to go back to Buddy's comment about you know, white artists not having to undergo the same type of extortion that black artists go through. The reason why that doesn't happen is, for one, like white artists don't specifically endorse or even market directly to the street. They have a broader audience and whatnot. And then another reason why is because white people don't live by the, you know, the outdated street code where it's no snitching and all this kind of stuff. So they don't. So if something happens to them, they're going straight to the police.
By the way, hit the like button. By the way, the no snitching rule only applies to other people. I repeat, the no snitching rule only applies to other people. What do I mean by that? It's okay for them to snitch on you. Nino Brown snitched. Kareem Akbar, he the real leader behind CMB. I have a whole lot of evidence. Like, whoa, brother. I thought there was a no snitching rule. Oh, that means that Kareem can't snitch on you, but you can snitch on. Got it. You see, you can't snitch on the killers in the community, but the killers can snitch on you because the rules apply that way. Now, this young man is part of a clip from the movie Belly. That's DMX. DMX represents the OG. He's the one that literally shoots up the club. And then he brings home, like, it's a shame that you're out killing people to make the money that a nightclub makes in one night. Now, instead of for opening up your own nightclub and making that money in one night that they make in one night, you plan a killing spree to make their one night income. Very weird. But back to Lakeed. This is Lakeed. He wanted to be like Buns so bad. His whole life was to grow up and be like Buns. Now, Buns, at the time that this happened, was on the run from the law, going from state to state. He owed a Jamaican, gangster money. And he's hiding out, and he winds up in Atlanta selling weed. And then him and his best friend, who also wanted to be like Buns, got into an argument because neither of them wanted to appear to be a coward. So, of course, it ended this way, and getting shot by your best friend while your mentor is instigating the conflict between the two of you because he thought that crap was funny. So, yeah, that happens. Best friends. And there you go. Community. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Belly, ever notice, because Belly came out late 90s, ever notice how there's always a new drug? That don't exist in real life? Like, yeah, we got that new stuff. That new stuff. Ever notice that? Like, what do you mean new stuff? And that's the community's way of stating that, okay, crack is dead and it was very lucrative when it was alive, but it's dead now. So if we are going to make a movie about drug dealing, we can't really make it about crack because everybody knows that it's dead. So we're going to make this new drug which sells just like crack did when crack was in its heyday. So this is them attempting to bring back the crack era by creating this artificial drug. It's over. I know that brothers don't want to admit it because the money that it generated at the time, really put the hood in a good light. And if you want to re-put the hood in good light, you need a new crack. So they like, oh, we got this new stuff. Like, you know who else is doing that? The Power series. The one with Tommy Egan. Like, yeah, we got this new stuff. Because they want to make it seem like they want to make it appear as if you just balling out of control with it. But they're not. Like the TV series Belly, or I'm not Belly. The TV series The Wire. The Wire would show like, oh, I got a G pack of something, maybe heroin, and they just sell like 1,000 a day. Each and every single corner sells 1,000 a day. Really? It's like y'all have that many heroin addicts? Like you have like 100 D-boys, each of them selling 1,000 units a day. So it's 100,000 people addicted to heroin, just walking around Baltimore. So it's definitely exaggerated. But they have to make up new drugs because the old drugs isn't hitting like that.
They're going to call 911. The thing with the Migos situation is, like I said, you had multiple people in the room and nobody, I mean, people are posting things online, but they're not going directly to the police and saying, hey, this happened. And these are the individuals here. And these are the people that I saw pull out weapons. They're like, oh, let them folks do their job. That's what I hear often. Let them folks do their job. Don't make their job easier. That's what I hear often from the Black community, and specifically the guys who embrace the street. So
yeah, and
so
a black
in a very real way, white people have to check in, but it's just called taxes. That's you pay the local police force to protect them from hooligans.
Hey, and to his point though, that
we also pay the same taxes, and also the police is trying to find the Negro who did the shooting. So like the police, like they actually work when, you know, when people.
So why check in?
Well,
So,
Bernard,
I agree. So with that, why check in if the police are working and they're doing their job? Like, it seems like Black people are paying like an extra tax.
Well, yeah,
The
you
black
have
tax,
to.
bro.
You have to, though. Yeah, you have to, because otherwise niggas will shoot you, and then it won't be the police; it'll be the coroner. But to this point too, Bernard, it's a Black police chief in Houston that's out here saying, "Hey, look, we need people to come forward and help us with this investigation." You know, it's crazy, Bernard. You know, right? Everybody got a camera phone.
I don't agree with what Fantastic said, because there are Black entertainers, I'm sure, that don't have to pay a check-in.
Now everybody, you know, recording. There's people, you know, recording the man's body, him bleeding out and stuff like that or whatever. But yet and still, you have a police chief, a Black police chief, you know, giving his condolences to the family and all those different things, right?
Yeah,
saying that, hey, we still need help with this investigation. We need people to come forward and give you the information. You had, you know, from the looks of it, let's say what, at least in the video alone, 20 some odd people, and you running for your life. So you know who shot, right?
You know where them shots came from.
Like the brother said, like shout out to brother Gen Z, you know, stop snitching, right? And fuck 12 and all this other shit. Now there's some that Migos are gonna have to. This is gonna be a real testament, because Migos put a whole song out named "Fuck 12." It was one of their biggest things, you know. And Atlanta is the home of Fuck 12. So now, man, it's gonna be a split with 12, so this man can get some justice for his life.
Yeah. And I also want to. Oh, go ahead.
Well, go ahead real quick. I'm gonna go to you, then I'm gonna go to you, then I'm gonna go to Illuminated
Houston. You know, a lot of people online, from what I've seen, is like, oh, how did this happen in Houston? Houston's safe. Houston is on fire right now, just like any other Democratic run major city in the United States. I mean, you had Taylor Young, a brother who graduated college, who passed away 8 months ago. You have a rapper, Lil Uzi's rapper, Lotta Cash Desto. She was shot and killed in Houston in a robbery. So, I mean, these are not like Takeoff is not like the only individual who basically got caught lacking in Houston. And this is happening every day. So I just kind of wanted to bring acknowledgement to that, because like I said, I know you guys cover a whole variety of topics, but just in general, I think that, you know, we use these instances to highlight, oh, well, you know, this is an issue in the Black community. Rap is the most dangerous job, as you hear a lot of people saying. But the reality is, this is happening to normal, everyday people at a way higher rate. Normal, everyday Black people at a way higher rate than these rappers. So it's not even so much about hip hop and rap music, even though that is it's heavily correlated. It's more about the dire state that the community is currently in 2022.
Agreed. So real quick before I move it along, hold on real quick. K Wood in the building says it was friendly fire. Dude in a yellow long sleeve shirt stole Takeoff chain, and he was shooting at him in a difficult angle. Okay.
It's amazing how brothers try to sell you on this concept of community than steal your chain and brag about it after the fact. I was a terror on the streets. I was still in chains. Well, you know that this could lead to death. Yeah, but later I started giving brothers jobs. Okay, but you also got brothers killed. They were killed. They were killed. They were terrorized and killed.
That sort of lines up with what we saw in the video. Too cool for school in the building. Shout out to you. Do appreciate your support. He says, why do you even need ninjas with guns in a crowd for a dice game? They tapped in with Jay Prince and still got killed in the city. Shaking my head. I guess that tap in don't exactly. Yeah. No guarantees on the tap in. No guarantees.
Well, somebody said fake reformers. I don't know. I mean, okay, you remember that guy somewhere around 2001 and the whole airplane scenario? I'm trying to be, I'm trying to like work with the algorithm here. It's kind of like if he just started building houses in New York. Like I used to terrorize New York, but now I build houses and I like to shame brothers who aren't building anything. Like, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Buildings collapsed because of your actions, and you build one-story houses in its place, and you're shaming other people who never collapsed any buildings for not building the house. It really seems like you are doing a bad job of cleaning up your own crap and then shaming others for who never cracked. It's kind of like somebody that pissed in a project elevator. Y'all piss in the elevator. And then goes out and picks up some trash outside. Never actually cleaning up the piss smell in the elevator. And bragging about pissing in the elevator. And shaming a person who never littered or pissed in the elevator for not helping with the cleanup.
Jockey's Retro in the building says MS-13 taxes their people all
No, they don't.
the time.
And
No,
even if they did, right? Why don't we hear about it? And why aren't people still getting killed? People forget Dolph got shot in Cali, right? Before he got killed. So it was an attempt on his life when he was in Memphis. He was out traveling in Cali and got shot. Allegedly of attempted robbery or whatever. 2 Chainz got robbed. Okay, he wasn't shot, but 2 Chainz got robbed out there in Cali. Cali is infamous for this thing. And then, like somebody said in the chat, shout out to who said it in the chat. Trying to shout yourself out, brother, when you said it.
All right, so I hate to bring this up. I really do. I'm hesitant. That's why there was a pause. I'm hesitant to bring this up. I am hesitant to bring this up. I truly, truly am. Because doing something is better than doing nothing, but the something that you're doing isn't enough. Ice Cube. I hate to do this. Because I like the brother now. But you spent your youth championing a lifestyle that got a lot of brothers killed. You don't know their names. I don't know their names. Nobody knows their names. But there were brothers who died trying to be like you. And it's good that you're doing it, but all the family movies and you know the reformations and things like that you are proposing now won't bring those young dudes back. It won't. I'm sorry, brother. I will always have that. Like, you know, and it's not like you were doing something, like it's not like you were going with a continuous grain. You know, they had Public Enemy, Kid and Play, Will Smith, and you. And you took the culture into a very, very, very dark place. And now you're doing the same thing that Kid and Play was doing back then. Now you're making like house party type movies. Are we there yet? Ride along, stuff like this. All right. I'm not going to thump on Cube. All right. Let me just go.
I can't scroll up and find it, but that dude, that it was a big controversy here recently with Lil Boosie being accused of Duke the jeweler that's getting killed in Houston too. That was a robbery thing or whatever.
Yeah, Boosie got shot in Dallas as well after at Mo 3's memorial.
Got shot. So yeah, man, what Kodak got shot, right? Kodak got shot. Where was Kodak when he got
Cali?
Shot?
He was in LA.
Yeah, Cali. So I'm telling you, Quando Rondo's homeboy got killed in Cali. Quando Rondo got shot, and his acquaintance got killed in Cali. So yeah, man, this whole check-in thing or whatever. Listen, you make the bed and you lay in it, bro. Live by the sword, die by the sword, and only people that can really change it, because this only applies to rap.
Why live by the sword? Live by the sword, die by the sword. Why live by the sword? That's the community.
Rappers. So rappers made this thing a thing in which, listen, bro, if you were a rapper and you got $1 million budget or whatever, bro, you can come to motherfucking security, hire real security for a couple of $1,000s, and bro, you will start making the example, because I promise you, trained security has to drop over just random hood niggas with guns. If
they had actual trained security, that Takeoff would be alive.
I'm not worried about no motherfucking checking in, bro. I pay that 2 bands or whatever. Hire me one guy, one trained guy, one ex special forces guy. And I promise you, bro, he's worth about 10 hood niggas. And
the issue with that, would you make sure that he's black?
No, bro, but that's the problem. No, that's the problem. Niggas still want to do nigga shit. You cannot take your $500,000 salary security guard into the trap and you do fucking music videos with your hood niggas from the projects. Like the worlds don't collide well when you do that. So how are you going to like bring that type of security? You're not even going to go to a place like that when you got that kind.
My bad, I was muted. But what I was saying was a white card seemed to trump a black card. So if you hire white security, you know that the brothers aren't going to attack because it might harm a white person. And they fear doing that because they're the warriors of the community. They fear doing that. So you're pretty much safer in that instance than you are checking in. But once again, check-in isn't about protection. Checking in is about giving you street credibility. The reason why he was at the dice game is to give him street credibility. He wants to be seen doing this. He wants his fans to be seen doing it.
Yeah, you saying the real security that's actually doing their job, they would advise your ass not to even go there. Like if they they're truly doing their job, yeah, they would. You wouldn't even be there. So they still want to be there. So okay, if I'm gonna do this ignorant shit, I gotta bring my my what you call it, fantastic nigger I can't say the word. You put nigga and ignorant together. Very good.
Oh, niggerant. Ignorant. Yeah, y'all know how I get down.
Ignorant security. Yeah, they got to get the niggerant security to go do the bullshit with them. So yeah, that's what that is.
I have a question for Gen Z. Gen Z, what should a person do when the community inside the community is more dangerous than outside the community?
You leave. That's why you get out of the hood. That's why you stop hanging around all these niggas. That's just the reality of the situation.
Now, of course, that was a question that I already knew the answer to, but I wanted AC and others to hear it. So basically, what do you do when the inside of the community is more dangerous than outside of the community? And his answer is spot on. You leave. Like say there's a fire inside your home and there's tear gas outside your home. You don't stay in a fire to avoid the tear gas. You leave.
Like you have to separate yourself, especially if your money is long, like Quavo and Takeoff and all them. See, the problem is they don't want to hire official security, ex-police officers, ex-military, ex-Marines, ex-Green Berets and all this kind of stuff who are, they're independent contractors. You can hire them any moment. They might be a little bit more expensive than the street guys, but at least you're not getting extorted and you can guarantee your safety. The issue is that it hurts their street code. It hurts their credibility. It hurts their the street cred, because now in songs they literally rap, "Oh, I ain't with no security, da 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 da, like I'm always by myself." So they're bragging about being by themselves, not hiring security, being the hardest nigga in the world, and then on the back end they got.
And that's what they're selling. Once again, he's spot on with it. That's what they're selling. They're selling the image, like we can make you look hard. Essentially what they're doing is they're selling street cred.
Got security guarding their concerts, so it's a conflict of interest.
Let me ask you this, just as a music fan, how about this, yo? All my shooters white. Like, I think that's gangster. All my shooters are white. Nobody wants to do that. What the fuck is wrong? Listen, you ain't made it until you got white gunmen, bro. You have not made money until your gunmen are white.
They can make that sound cool. But
I agree, but the community is not gonna like that, and they're going to critique that and say, "Oh, well, you're just hiring slave catchers to shoot down black people and all this stuff," and they're gonna make any excuse.
Well, if you want a job done right, goddamn.
Absolutely, I agree, but I'm just telling you what the community is going to say in retort to that.
Almost forgot. We do got to go to introduce yourself, brother. Illuminated something. What's your name? You got the mic. Go ahead. Welcome to. I think it's the first time on the show. Welcome aboard.
Hey, how you doing? What's up, Fantastic?
What's up, Illuminated? How you doing, sir?
Good. I see you had to come over here with the intellectuals. I see. Yeah, I was just chiming in and listening to you because I knew this was going to be, as Gen Z say, the hot topic of the week, and then we're going to go back to buffoonery as usual. But I believe it was the brother that's up under you, Brother Riley, Hood Sensitive. I think he made
Hood Sensitive.
Conservative. I'm sorry.
Conservative.
Yo, go for it, bro. Go for it.
Hey, just so you know, Hood Conservative. That's what I'm calling you, because sometimes you do say some heartfelt stuff when you talk.
It's today, man. Niggas dead already, man. There's enough niggas dead. I don't want to fight no more.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead, Illuminated.
All these internet gangsters over here. You better be careful, Fantastic. But anyway, I just wanted to comment on, I guess, the culture. Because it seems to me, I like what he said. If I'm worth X amount of dollars and have a certain economic status, I'm gone. I love my people, love what y'all doing down there, but I'm gone. I don't understand that. And to Fantastic, he always elaborates, but it's almost like they have to keep this street cred for economic status, and the music industry is so freaking corrupt right now. I don't even listen to that stuff, but just, it seems like every time it's some black dude getting shot and getting killed, somewhere, not being where he's not supposed to be. And I just don't understand that. If you want to live that, criticize this niggerish stuff, hood conservative was going in hard. I was listening
that's hood
to
sensitive. See, you
your new name and stuff. But yeah, I just like what you're doing, man. I like going on to different panels, man, where people can really discuss issues and things to where we can really try to. I thought these spaces are supposed to be for we identify the problem and come up with some type of solutions and stuff. But that's the thing that they need men alive of trying to. It's like it seems like one demographic is all speaking out our call. We have very intelligent people that can represent us, but they don't want to do that. So that's my take on it, brother.
Hey, Bernard, can I just respond to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I understand the take, as far as like having an issue with certain behaviors and things, but rappers are very infantile segment of our community, right? Yes,
with
they
a
have
really big bullhorn.
They have, that's what I was about to say. They have they have exposure or whatever, but they're a very small segment within our.
My bad.
Our community, and I don't really necessarily think that we as a people look at rappers as a representation of us. I think the outside world does, and I think we're taking our cues from the outside world, and we're not having any.
Yeah, I had to double check the definition of infantile, which, as I suspected, was of occurring amongst babies or very young children. It really speaks to a behavior. And I thought that that's what he meant at first when he said that. But I think the word he was looking for was infinitesimal or, minimal, that they're a very small part of the community. Because I don't think that he was saying that, that they are childish, so to speak.
Conversation.
Well, let me ask you this: who do we look at as a representation?
Finish. Can I please finish?
Yeah, go for it.
And what we do is we take the outside world's view of us, and then we bring it back and say, this is what they think about us. We got to straighten this out. But why should we care what they think about us? Because believe me, they don't care what we think about them. They don't care what we feel about the issues in their culture or what's going on. But we really care.
Call a white person racist and see how much they care about what we think. Remember when Kanye West said George Bush don't care about black people? He cared. They definitely do care about stuff like that, but that's not the point. The point is that they're trying to promote this lifestyle like you can be as ignorant as you want and not really care if other people think you're an ignorant ass nigga. I don't care. And this goes into the elevator piss. You can live in a project apartment with a piss elevator, a piss vader. And yeah, I don't care what they think. Now, society is going to treat you how they feel about you. And as I mentioned before, they want that treatment. They want society to treat you a certain way. See, they want society to not hire you, so you go to this brother for a job. And so he could beat his chest and say, I give brothers jobs. And that's because you know that the larger society is going to judge them, and they're going to judge them poorly because you told them not to care about what they think.
About what others think about us and how they extrapolate it and make rap a representation of blackness, which it is not. It is the smallest decimal thing, because if you look at this panel in itself, a few of you guys listen to rap, but you guys really don't listen to rap. So if you take this segment and extrapolate it out to the rest of society, a lot of black people don't listen to rap. A lot of black people don't buy into the thing that rap.
Hold on, AC.
I don't agree.
Please
Okay,
let me finish.
okay.
Please let me finish.
Well,
Right? And I think that's what you guys do over here, because that's your guys' philosophy. Your guys' thing is, okay, the group down here is making us look bad in the world, right? And that's only because the people that's digesting it is thinking that way, right? Like, they shouldn't be a representation of us in the world. Rappers shouldn't be.
So this is weird. This is like, we're going to do fuck shit and I want the world to ignore it.
What black people, other people see as blackness, and we should be the ones who change that. It shouldn't be record labels, radio stations. It should be intelligent brothers like the ones that is speaking that go out and be a full representation of what greatness and blackness is. That's why I'm pro-black, because when I go out to the world, I represent myself as a black man who is doing it, who understands.
I was a terror in these streets. I'm a representation of black man. I was a terror in these streets. I'm a representation of black man. From the street.
You criticize us. You criticize us when we separate ourselves and criticize the shit that's bad. You come and criticize us. You contradicting your original point.
I'm not criticizing y'all. I'm simply saying to y'all, if you guys have such a problem, why don't you guys go out to the community and talk to these people?
Now you're trying to deflect it somewhere else.
Are we talking to the community right now, though? No. Right now on this panel, are we not talking to the community?
Fellas, can I respond, please? Can I respond? I'll answer all your questions if you want me to respond.
Go ahead, GC.
Okay. First question that I'll answer is, how come we don't go into the community and speak directly to the people? Because I can't afford the check-in fee. The second question.
Have a real conversation, man.
I didn't
have a real conversation.
That was a quick joke. We can keep rolling. Go ahead, GC.
So yeah, thank you. I can't afford the check-in fee. Now, the second question that I want to answer on a more serious note is, why do we care what the world thinks of us, or what the world abroad thinks of us? You see, whenever they think that we have a gun, or they think that we're a criminal or something like that, that is when you should say, why do you care what they think? Well, I care because I don't want people like me to get shot. That is why you should care. You see, I don't like people initially assuming that I'm a buffoon because those who look like me behave as a buffoon. And I don't think I'm sorry?
That's called ignorance on their part, though. That's ignorance on their part.
I don't care. And notice how that's just like brushed off. Like, oh yeah, that person is ignorant. It's ignorant to assume that Chinese people like rice. That's ignorant. It's like, is it really? Is it really ignorant to come to a cultural conclusion about what you observe about a group of people? Like, is it ignorant to assume that Japanese people like cartoons with big-eyed young women? Is it really ignorant to assume certain things? I don't want to be. I don't want to be. Excuse me. I don't. Just like they don't care that I think that they're ignorant. Um, yeah, I don't really care if they call it ignorance. Like they can just be ignorant. Nevertheless, I'm not going to perpetuate their view of us being ignorant.
Can I respond to that?
I'll explain it more simple. Hold on. I'll explain.
Okay. Somebody's in the chat room acting up. All right. Gotta make them never want to come back again. So here we go. It is white man who is my sugar daddy. Black man is broke or self-hating or an LGBT like Frank Ocean. I don't know who these people are. Don Lemon, blah, 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 blah. They only date white. Okay. Go for it. Go for it. You have a type. I say go for it. Now, why do you feel anyone should care? I mean, quite frankly, I have to say that you're a bad businesswoman. And by that, I mean you're a bad hoe. Let's dig into this for a second. I'm going to do a quick segue. You're a bad hoe. A good hoe expand their client base. They don't limit it to just the men that they like. Apparently, you're a hoe or a quote-unquote sugar baby that only sleeps with the guys that they wanted to sleep with anyway. That's just weird. To be perfectly honest, that is bad hoeing. That's bad hoeing. You got to be a good hoe. You got to diversify your portfolio. Just a little bit of advice. If you are to be a sugar baby, then you are to accept a sugar daddy of any color. Just saying, go for it. I'm not saying that you should not be a hoe or sugar baby or whatever you want to call it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have an ethnic preference in dating, nor should you have to worry about having that preference, especially if it's based on finances or, global power or something like that. I say go for it. I say go for it. Just some sound whole logic. Let's see. Oh, now reduced to name calling. Okay, those spend a lot of energy on a group of men that you find irrelevant. It says, at least I'm not down low like you who know the whole game. Plus, I'm not Negroid African. I am Habesha Afro-Caucasian. Why I would date a Negro? Then don't. Only Ethiopians and Eritreans, you are hashtag every week. Okay. Then once again, don't. Don't. I'm just saying you're limiting your hoeing. You're limiting your hoeing by about a third of the world population. But hey, do you or don't do you? I don't know why you raised your hand and said the word ape. I don't know if you realize this. And I don't think you do, because you're not that bright. But all humans are apes. I don't know if you're trying to call me an ape as an individual, or you're trying to call my particular race an ape. But humans are apes.
Well, piggyback on what GC saying, as simple as this: ethnic reputation matters. I think people that speak as
Exactly.
we speak are doing something.
We're the ones that
Are doing
representing us and
doing
not
something.
taking
Are
outside
people
representation.
who speak as we speak are doing something to change, influence, and affect that ethnic reputation in a positive way by one criticizing the negative shit that you agree that it's negative, but again, you're coming in here butting back and forth with the people who are butting against the bullshit, which means I go back to my original point I made about you. You're running interference for the bullshit. You're doing
I'm
exactly
not running
what I said.
interference for the
Hold on,
bullshit. I just don't agree with you guys' philosophy when it comes to the bullshit.
You're doing exactly what I described that pro blacks do. They basically try to spray cologne over funk. Like the person who didn't take a bath. The person who didn't take a bath. The person who didn't take a bath just want to spray cologne over it. And that must and that funk is still seeping through. You can't just spray cologne over it.
Can I just want to ask AC a question.
Let me finish what I was saying right quick, brother. Because
my bad.
No worries. It's and this is part of the cycle. You see, they create an image of ignorance so that when you try to leave society, they treat you like an ignorant jackass. And then they say, you see, those people are treating you like you're ignorant. You need to come back over here and pay the check-in. Like, it's a fucked up dynamic. They are working to make the greater society hostile towards you to force you into their community. That's all.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
Damn.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
And I like to
Tommy
get
B.
in.
Go ahead, Tommy B.
So,
we about to wrap this up pretty soon, but I do want to let Tommy B and Trader MBD say what they got to say before we get out of this. Go ahead, Tommy B. You got
my only pushback on that, and the reason why I really could give a fuck about what they think about us, is because last time I checked, when we walked around in suits, they still sick dogs on us. They still shot us. They still beat the shit out of us. So
when
no
was the
matter.
last time you checked?
When in the 60s when we didn't have.
So the last time you checked was before I was born?
speak?
Okay. Okay, this is some weird crap. The last time I checked, and I don't think that this brother is 60 years old. The last time I checked, back in the 60s, they lynched like one or two people that wore suits. I mean, the last time I checked, in the 60s, dudes were getting lynched for whistling at white women. Now you have like BBC porn. Like you got all kind of like BBC cream pie and stuff like that, smacking them in the face with it, you know, pulling them on leashes and chains and crap. That's what happened the last time I checked.
Hold on, brother. Can you just clarify who they is, brother? Please, I want to know who they.
The people that we're trying to impress, or we're trying to have this ethnic image.
Whoa. Nobody is
or we're trying to have this ethnic image.
Nobody. Hold on. Wait. Time out. This ain't about. Hold on. We're not criticizing.
People like this sound like the smelly dude in class that refused to take a bath or a shower, and then they say, "Oh, you're trying to impress them people. I don't really care about my image and reputation. I'm not trying to impress these people." What? Somebody says I wouldn't use porn as a standard. Okay, here's the thing. I use it as an example. And what I'm saying is times have changed. Times have changed. We can now do stuff now that we couldn't do in the past. He's holding us to past standards.
Bullshit to to make sure that we, dressed up and
No,
tap
but
dancing and
but
looking.
what I'm
Oh, wait,
saying
stop,
is-
hold on, brother. I'm talking. We're not criticizing the bullshit to make sure that we tap dancing properly for white people. We're criticizing the bullshit because it's actually bullshit, and somebody got to clean the shit up. So there's that. So that we can.
No, I
can
agree
take
with
the
that.
white
But what
people
he
out of
said
it.
was he wanted it cleaned up so people wouldn't look at him as a buffoon. My point is, when we didn't have this image, when we had a MLK walk around with a suit on, they still looked at us that way.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Yeah, there were acts of violence against us, but they didn't really see us as buffoons. Now, notice how with this, there isn't a push to not be a buffoon for the sake of not being a buffoon. Like, something, even if you dress like this, they're going to see you as a buffoon anyway. And I know this because in the 60s, it don't matter if you're a buffoon or not, because in the 60s, they harmed black people who they knew weren't buffoons. Last time I checked, before I was born. So it really don't matter. Let's continue with the buffoonery.
I do agree it needs to be cleaned up. I'm not pushing back against that. What I'm saying is, if we're doing it for that approval, then you might as well move around, because they're going to look at us the way they're going to look at us, whether we're in the suit, whether we sagging, it doesn't matter.
They don't look at Africans like buffoons because they don't act like buffoons. Stop bringing up the 60s.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that ain't really. I got you, GC, but you got to understand this point. AC is the one who started that, where he's basically saying, I don't care what they think about us. And then the counter to that was, okay, on one hand, you're saying you don't care what they think about us, but then on another hand, you're going to complain if the police is just too quick to grab the gun when he sees a black person reach for his wallet. He thought he was reaching for a gun instead of the wallet because of what they think about us. So you can't, in one hand, complain about that, but then say you don't care how they think about us, but then try to spray deodorant or for perfume over the shit that you see when people are out there shooting and killing each other, and the rappers are glorifying it, and the rappers are dying, and then we criticize it, and then we wrong for criticizing it. It goes in that full circle. So that's where we at with it. But just want to make it clear, it ain't about tap dancing and look nice, good, shiny, and clean for white people. No, we actually talking about the problems in the culture. Go ahead, GC.
Okay, let me ask this, because we're talking about suits here, and the last time we checked in was in the 60s, and we should behave as if we are in the 60s. This is what I was talking about the fear of the Klan and stuff like that. They want to keep that fear going, as if we're in the 60s and the Klan is lurking around to lynch people in suits. They want to keep that fear because it's what keeps the community together. Now, let me ask you this, brother. What happens to a person that doesn't pay the check-in fee but walks down the hood with a suit?
So I'm actually from Cali, and I actually came up here to speak on that.
I am too. Okay. So what happens? What happens, sir? What
are you gonna let me talk?
Okay, go for it.
I go to LA all the time. Okay. Nothing happens to me. The problem with this, and I'm gonna answer y'all question about the white.
Are you a rapper? Hold on, brother. Are you a rapper? Are you a famous rapper? Respectfully, I gotta ask the question. Hold on.
He didn't ask me as a rapper. He asked me.
But brother,
well, I asked you what would happen to a brother in a suit. I don't know if you're in a suit, but you never really answer that part. But he's just like, I walk around in LA. Is the answer to the question, what would happen to a brother who don't pay the check-in, who walks around the hood in a suit? And y'all know where I'm going with this. Basically, I'm trying to get at, they're the new Klan. They're the new group of people that lynch people. The lynch mob.
still, but you're using. We're talking about famous.
He asked me. He didn't ask me as a rapper.
You got it,
I
bro.
wonder do
I mean,
like, John Legend, Aloe Black,
Now,
do they pay the
let
check
me
in
explain
fee?
it to you, Bernard.
No, I want to hear what happens to the brother when he wears a suit in the hood.
When I go to LA,
Mhm.
I personally call people. Why? Because they have hold on. Because they have bullshit going on down there that I don't want to get in the middle of. Now, I have family and friends in those places where bullshit happens. So I call down there just to make sure I'm not going to end up in the middle of some bullshit. That's why I call in to people that I know. It's not this whole, I got to go pay this person and walk around me, not yada, yada, yada. A perfect example would be PNB Rock. Had he called somebody, everybody would have told him that's not the Roscoe's to go to.
He lived in LA.
Can I talk? 15 minutes.
Can I respond?
He lived in LA.
15 minutes up the freeway, you would have been at a safer one.
Okay, so now we can see what's really going on here. And that is, he understands the dysfunction. It's a dysfunction, community, if you have to check around and call people to ask so you can go and get chicken. And they're basically, and at the same time saying, hey, they lynched you in the 60s. But apparently they're lynching people now for not checking in.
If he lived in LA and he knew how LA got down, he would have knew not to be at that Roscoe's with $500,000 in jewelry on.
You're victim blaming.
Hey, DC, can I respond?
Can
I get a word in?
Wait,
if I can
it's
say
so much on the table here. I'm just curious about this check-in that you did.
Yeah.
So okay,
Wait a
minute. Let me ask my question.
He never answered the question, just so you know. I don't know why anyone would go anywhere with $500,000 worth of jewelry, but niggas.
So this call that you make, like, what happens in this call? Like,
they just explained to me what's going on. So it's like,
Explain what's
okay,
going on.
don't go to this section. It's hot over here. Yada yada yada. That's why I said the thing with the PNB Rock thing. Somebody simply would have told them, bro, that ain't the one to go to. Go 15 minutes up the road. Am I saying
so
that
can I ask you a question, brother?
Let me
All
say
right.
I am not saying that what happened to that man was right, but I was in the military. You know, the first thing they tell us when we got off the ship in another country, don't go here, don't go there. Actually, the week that happened, Joe Budden was in Greece. You know what they told him? Don't wear your jewelry here. That's in Greece. When you're around poor people, it's probably a good idea not to have $500,000 in jewelry on.
That makes sense.
Okay.
That was so far from an answer to the question.
So we all don't. Can I ask you a question real quick about that Roscoe's? Because I pulled my truck up as a brother. I pulled my truck up right next to that same Roscoe's during COVID was happening. Walked in and chilled out right in the parking lot, and waited for my food and got in my truck and drove off and ate it. Why don't we all have to check in when we just live a different life and we ain't down with that stuff? Why don't we have to check in?
Because you're not walking around with $500,000 in jewelry on. That's what I'm.
Why is he using this singular example? Because the whole discussion is the greater society in accepting a polished image of brothers. And his thing is somebody walking around Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle with $500,000 worth of jewelry. That's an extraordinary outlier situation. So it really just got off.
I'm saying now in going to that Roscoe's, was there a risk? Absolutely. I can tell you this. If somebody said they from LA, do you remember how East LA used to be? If you was black and was in East LA, it was a problem at a time.
Okay.
Those Mexicans would be on your ass. That's a fact.
Okay. I'm actually from Oakland. I said I was from Cali.
Oh, well, I'm from Oakland too.
What part?
Brookfield, 98.
Okay. I'm from the Dubs. So I never have to check in on 98th or the.
Are y'all checking in with each other?
No.
See, I think the biggest
city. If you're
issue.
from the city, you're not really checking in like that. And if the hood is hot, you might want to, because whatever.
Here's the thing about this particular guy that I noticed. And Trey brought up a good point, because he's just a regular guy that drives into LA and eat chicken and waffles. The truth of the matter is that you don't have to check in. You want to check in. And you want to check in because you like the thrill of the danger aspect of it. You like to feel as if you are a part of something dangerous. And you're still participating in it anyway. It's the same thrill that other groups of people get from things like bungee jumping and, parachuting or something like that. It's the same type of thrill. It's like, yes, I could die from this. Most regular people, first of all, most regular people don't go to the hood unless they have business there or they live there. But in that case, they're not going, they're just living there. But even still, most people do not care about what's going on. And that's even in East LA. I think that most Black people can just go to East LA, once again, if they have business there or whatever, throughout the thing. Like if there's a mailman and he just so happened to be Black, he's just delivering mail and he's not checking in with anybody. If you have a girlfriend in East LA, you're not checking. It's weird, but they have like this thing, like, this is what's going on in the hood right now.
I think the biggest issue is, and I'll be quick, but like we're talking about, oh, we shouldn't care what people think. We shouldn't care what people think. Actually, we should, because we are trying to further and advance our ethnic image. So it absolutely matters what people think about you. It absolutely matters when you walk into that bank and you're trying to get a loan for a house, what people think about you. It absolutely matters when you're trying to get approved to buy or purchase a vehicle, what people think about you. I mean, look at what happened to Kanye. You think those people who shut him down don't care what people think about them? Absolutely not. They absolutely care. And that's why they're not going to let you say anything out of your mouth about them. So unless you're not trying to further the ethnic image of the African-American race, then okay, go ahead. Oh, we don't care what people think. We just gonna act the ass. We're just gonna act the ass, and it doesn't matter if people judge us or have a preconceived notion about us, because we just gonna do whatever the fuck we want. That's a horrible mindset.
Can I speak on that real quick?
All right, yeah, we're gonna let Trey speak, and then we're probably gonna wrap this thing up. But real quick, Nuruddin in the building. All right. We're gonna try to get all that in fast. I'm trying to get off of here, but Nuruddin in the building says, "Hey, Bernard, just checking in like those rappers. I'm checking in with those women. I had fun with that. Oh man, at the Halloween parade. You gotta post some new pictures of you and your favorite holiday and your favorite.
No, Bernard, Nuruddin is qualified from where the white women at. He's disqualified.
I know. No, I said Nuruddin is suspended for a few months after.
He's
after
suspended
that.
from where the white women
I told everybody.
Hey, but he checking in though.
Do not go on that damn pineapple show. Nuruddin ass went. I'm so disappointed.
I'm not disappointed.
I had to hold that proxy L. I did, because
Nuruddin, it took courage. I will say that.
Yeah.
And I'm not
okay.
It took courage.
I mean, it takes courage to stick your hand in a wood chipper, but you don't get a pat on the back for having the courage to do it. It's like anyway. All right, Nuruddin in the building again with another one. He says, "Wow, he kind of sounds like X-Clan rap group." Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Wow, he kind of sound like, it's going to sound off-putting the way I say this, but nobody sent a $25 cash app. Now, the person who sent it name is nobody. I'm not saying nobody. That's just so weird to say. Pray you got it.
Hey, but speaking of nobody, if the special forces operators, the green lit guys, color coded guys out there, that's who you want as your security. I'm just saying, speaking of that movie, everybody go check out Nobody. Pretty cool movie. It's about an operator.
It is.
Yeah. But to get back to Black Gen Z's point about the sniff test, and I know everybody was talking about this. Unfortunately, in the world we live in today, sorry fellas, but thanks to gangster rap and all the knuckleheads of many moons ago, you got to pass the sniff test wherever you go. Now, the sniff test could just be as easy as looking at you, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you got, you're clean shaven. If you got a bunch of dreads on with your pants sagging down, you might not fail the sniff test. I mean, excuse me, you might fail the sniff test, no matter what you say or what you do or what your occupation is or how much money you have. You might not pass it. Now, in saying that, look, it is what it is. If you believe in the cult of black, if you care about furthering this made up African American, that made up nonsense, it is what it is. But at this point, that is linked to the cult of dysfunction. So if you're saying, okay, cool, I'm gonna, make all this money and I'm gonna still want to be around black folks, as Gen Z said, all these black folks are getting killed on a daily. One of the reasons I moved out of Houston, it was nuts. Pook ran up in my house and almost lost his life because of it. He lucky, an inch saved him. But that's what's gonna happen if you make that kind of money and you stay in those environments. You're just gonna be a regular Joe Smo, and eventually your nigga moment's gonna come from another nigga. It is what it is.
Yeah. John 81101 says, just checking in. Yeah, that's the thing. Now you got the pro black rap group from the out of this joint.
Yeah, so brother, when you talk about the dangers of the white community and the suit and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, when you compare and contrast to the dangers of the black community, you don't have to go back 60 years in order to see that. It is more dangerous now. You're more likely to get killed in a suit from a black man now than a white man. And actually, you're more likely to be killed if you are in the 60s than in the 60s. Those in LA know what I'm talking about.
Can I explain why I went back that far? I went back that far because I think that's around the last time our ethnic image was to where we kind of dressed in suits. We had 2-parent homes, yada, yada, yada. And my point was, even when we kind of fit the mold that everybody's saying we should, we still was looked at a certain way. It's not making an excuse for the dumb shit that's happening now.
We weren't looked at as, we were, okay. So in this statement, he admitted that the 60s was the last time we had a better ethnic image. And he's saying even with the suits, we were looked at as a certain way, but we weren't, because you just admitted that we had a better ethnic image. Now, we had a better ethnic image, and what he's saying is true in the fact that they, meaning that the people in the 60s, not the rolling 60s in LA, but in the 60s, they recognized that these were not the buffoons of modern times, and they still, many of them still treated them poorly. He's right to say that. But the response, see, here's the thing. Being a buffoon is never a good answer to anything. It's never going to solve any problem.
Again, you already explained, Bernard, that we're not doing it for them. So if that's it, then that's fine. I'm just saying,
you got to look up Claude Brown, my brother.
It's not the tap dance for him, but seeing that civil rights legislation got passed, whatever they did to fight the racism, it apparently worked in the sense that.
Well, they got legislation passed, but I'm saying, how were they treated in the streets? Even though the legislation was passed,
bro, niggas was on the bullshit back then, bro.
At this point, hold on, wait, time out.
So basically, not being a buffoon got the civil rights legislation passed, and being a buffoon gets a police gun, a police bullet in your ass. And he's saying, it's not going to change anything.
Talking about the way black people was treated during Jim Crow laws, come on, it's like that.
Bro, niggas was on the bullshit back then. Look up Claude Brown.
Exactly.
So I know they were. What I'm saying is, it wasn't the overall image of black people as it is now because of this rap, the gangster rap shit. What I'm saying is, outsiders, when they view us through the lens of these weirdos that's dancing around with their pants down to their knees and stuff. I'm saying back then that wasn't how they viewed us.
Now, not gonna thump on the brother, but the avatar he chose is kind of like that. It's kind of like that, you know, the Rick Ross beard, the cigar, you know, he is perpetuating that street type image while calling it a negative thing. Like, you know, like, oh no, that's just them. That's just them. It's like, you're not exactly Kevin Samuels up here. You know, if you could see it, that's him second from the bottom, you know, the cigar, the beard and all that stuff, you know. I mean, granted, you can say like, oh no, I'm not trying to, no, that's pretty much a street image that you're trying to go for.
But what I'm saying is we still were treated a certain way. That's all I'm saying.
But bro, go outside and count. Hold on, I just got one point. Go outside and count the black men that you see and tell me how many of them have their pants sagging. If you go outside, a majority of the black men that you're going to see outside are going to have their pants sagging. Facts.
Okay, so you're saying that because they were violent, you know, generations ago towards brothers in suits and who maintained a positive image, we shouldn't maintain a positive image today.
I never said we shouldn't, bro. I said if your motivation, I said if your motivation for doing that is for these people to treat you a different way, then you're gonna be rudely surprised. It's all.
Yeah, no, but the thing. No, hold on. No, that's I think that's bullshit, because the fact of the matter is most of us who are living a life that is not on that bullshit.
Yep.
We do acknowledge that we don't that bullshit don't come our way.
Okay,
we don't get treated so
Bernard,
like, we're not walking around. I don't walk around begging and pleading for white people.
No, Bernard, this is
I don't
what I'm
have
saying.
those issues.
But Bernard, this is what I'm saying. Almost weekly, a story is coming out about how a black couple is getting their house appraised, not in the streets, not on the bullshit. And then they have a white family or somebody else come in the house and represent the house.
That's media lies, bro.
A lot of that's bullshit.
I'm in the real estate. That's the media lying to you. That's the media lying to you, bro. That's the same people that Ye is beefing with lying to you, bro. They want the black people mad.
Hold on.
Okay, so I'm about to cut it here, but this is just more of the foolishness. This is the more of the, you see, this racism exists and people in suits. This is basically so people can say, I might as well join the buffoonery because they're going to treat you like a buffoon regardless, is essentially what they're saying. You know, kind of like how they treated Barack Obama like a buffoon. Kind of like that, you know. In the 60s. They really want this buffoonery to continue. They want buffoonery and they want racism. They want hostilities. They have to perpetuate hostilities. And that's why when you talk to pro-blacks, it's always about, you know, it's always about racism and things like that. It's also about the hostile outside community so we can see the whites as the boogeyman. And so you can just huddle together in fear of this boogeyman. And it really don't matter what community. See, they're used to having a community that you have to be a part of, not that you want to be a part of. Listen, we all want communities. That's why they have fraternities. That's why they have like biker clubs and stuff like that. That's why they have like Masons and elk lodges. That's why they have things like that. That's why people get together in organizations, because they want to be a part of something. Even gangs, people want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of a sub-community. Now, the thing about the Black community that's interesting is that it's a community that you're born into. There isn't any hazing. There isn't a selection process. You're born into it. And even so, people aren't really choosing initially to be a part of it. Like most communities that aren't race-based, you have to choose to join it. The Black community, as they describe it, you're born joined into it, and people have to choose to leave it. Now, because it's something you're born into and you don't have to choose to be in it or choose to join it, what winds up happening is that you get people who don't feel a need to try to attract people to join it. Like the gangs, they have attraction, they have music, they have parties, they have cookouts, they have things to make people want to say, I want to be a part of this. And they have women. And they have things that make people want to be a part of what you have going on. Fraternities the same way. They have attractions, they have events, they have rushes, they have parties, they have step shows, they have things like that to make people want to be a part of it. Most organizations have these things. The motorcycle clubs, something similar. They have things that attract people to their sub community because they know it's a volunteer community. The Black community don't have any attractions. They don't have anything that makes a person want to be a part of it. There's nothing for a person to say, you know something, I want to be a part of it because if I'm a part of it, I get this. What do you have? You have overweight Keisha pussy. That's it. And you don't necessarily have to be in the Black community to have access to that overweight Keisha pussy. So they know that the people don't want to be in it. Or they can't attract people to it. They can attract women to it. And that is because they know that you can get a man that's more handsome than they are pretty there. So they have discount dick. But that's about it. They don't have anything for men to go. And that's why SYSBM and Passport Bros and stuff exist, because they don't have anything to keep its people. And then once they get a few people who, have something because there's certain street credibility or a certain crap like that they want, they make them pay. Anyway, I'd like to thank the Cash Apps and Super Chats, managers and moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. This is GameChanger 00100. Game over. Peace.